All right. So in an alternate history, one of the most significant territorial disputes in Europe is settled in an odd way. What if Hungary keeps Zakarphatia? In our timeline, the region of Zakarphatia, or Transcarpathia, has been a part of Ukraine ever since 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. But it hasn't exactly been a smooth process. In 2017, there were even talks of the region possibly leaving Ukraine and joining Hungary, which caused a shitstorm in a tea glass from both Ukrainian and Russian officials. This was all based around the idea of a Hungarian irredentist claim to the region, which is largely populated by ethnic Hungarians. But what if this irredentist claim was legitimate? What if Hungary had kept Zakarphatia after World War I? Well, first off, we have to establish some context. After World War I, Hungary lost 73% of its territory and 60% of its population to various successor states. And in the midst of all this chaos, the Hungarian government didn't even exist for a while, so they weren't really in any position to turn down any offers of acquiring more territory. And then along came Czechoslovakia, who at the time controlled Zakarphatia and wanted to exchange it with Hungary for the Slovak region of Prešov. Hungary accepted, and the two states were happy with the deal. But then Ukraine showed up and said, "Hey, wait, we want that territory too." Czechoslovakia was like, "Oh, cool, me too." And suddenly it was every state for itself. Now in our timeline, Ukraine got the region, but not before the Soviets invaded and occupied it for a few years. But what if Hungary had managed to keep Zakarphatia in this alternate timeline? Well, first off, the Hungarian population would be a lot happier because they would no longer be separated from their brethren in Hungary proper. Also, the Hungarian irredentist movement would likely fizzle out since the goal of reuniting the Hungarian people would be accomplished, and the border dispute between Hungary and Ukraine would cease to exist. Hungary would also gain an important strategic buffer zone between itself and the future Soviet Union, and the Soviets would not be able to use Zakarphatia as a potential launching point for future invasions into Hungary, such as in our timeline when they did just that in 1956 during the Hungarian Revolution. The downside is that Hungary would be stuck with a sizable chunk of territory that is ethnically Ukrainian and not particularly friendly towards Hungary. But given that the region was mostly rural and had a relatively small population, it wouldn't be much of a burden for Hungary. So all in all, if Hungary had kept Zakarphatia, it would have been a pretty good outcome for them. What do you think?